Testing. Testing. Okay. Testing. So I take one for Q&A. Testing, testing. For those online on Zoom, sorry for the delay. Please give us just a couple more minutes.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the last session. So we have Jack from Carousell to show the project analytics chatbot. Jack, you there?
Yeah, but actually another project is about accelerate PI protection.
Oh, sorry, it's about the PI one. Okay. So yeah, please go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Okay, so let me start. Hello. So I would like to introduce how we use LLM to accelerate the PI protections. And so we already have a PI protection system in Carousell, which is protect any PI data from being accessed without the proper audit request. But we have one thing to do is that actually based on different country and based on the legal requirements, there are different collection of the PII sensitive level. In case you don't know what PI is, it is the personal identifiable informations. So for example, for like a credit card or ID number, this might be the most sensitive informations, and they will require some more audit requests or some different process to follow. So we need to classify the PII's column into the right collections so that they can follow their corresponding legal requirements. So previously we will need to do it manually, and it's actually very tedious. So after the LLM is coming up, then actually this is a quite good case for LLM. So it can we just need to feed it with some sample data, and then it can help us to classify which collections this PI should belongs to. So this has already reduced around 95% of our tedious work. And to go with, start with this, actually we start with offline testing to make sure we have a good accuracy of this. So yeah, because we already doing this job manually previously. So for example, this email address, we map it into email collections, and then address we map it to location. So we have this a long list of training data. We can use it to tune the prompt, tune the flow. So make sure it achieve the good performance. And yeah, we achieve it, and then we use it in our systems. Then another thing we need to consider is that due to different legal requirements in different countries, we should also make it feasible to able to adopt different requirement easily. Okay, so let's just see how it works. Actually, it's just a very simple NAN workflow that the input will be from the webhook that it will receive the sample data. And then, as I mentioned, it need to be feasible for different legal requirement, right? So we also passing the collections we should define for the country. So for example, if it is in Singapore, it might have its own bunch of the collections we defined, and then it also passing. And if it's in another country, it will be another set of the collections it should passing. So based on these collections and the sample data, the first AI agent just classify like what collections this PI data should belong to. And then the second entry, actually, it just did the structure output because we need it to be a JSON format so our downstream service can know what it represents. You may ask why we break it down into two agents to do these things. The reason is actually this kind of simple job, we want to just use the cheapest model as we might have some bunch of requests, so we want to reduce the cost. And we find that for the cheapest model, it can classify the job actually well, but sometimes it is not able to doing the two things together well. So if we just put it into one agent, it will do first classify and then trying to output the structure output as we want. So you do two things together. And then it will not do very well if we put it in single agent. So that's why we break it down into two agents, and it's work pretty well. And then we can maintain the cost and have a robust result. So yeah, this is how it works. And then we also build a dashboard of how it actually, after we push it into the real system, how it actually work. So you can see like every day it will show how much PII columns it has identified, and then how much of them it is being assigned to the auto-assigned to the right collections. And we also define some mechanism that if the confidence score that we also output in that flow is not high enough, then it will not auto-assign to some collection, but human will help to assign it later. And yeah, so with this dashboard, we can monitor the performance. And in the behind, we also record if there is some classified by AI, but then modified by the human, then we also record this kind of information so that we know the AI might classify it wrong and then correct by human. And based on this information, we can continuously improve it in the future. Yeah, so that's basically how it works, and it's definitely helped us a lot to reduce 95% of this kind of tedious job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. Anyone has any questions? Okay, thank you so much, Jack, for sharing. Uh, Next up, we have Ayush.
Hello. Yeah. So today I'll just be sharing a bit about this Mac app I built. So the context here is that I've been going deeper into coding agents, how they work under the hood, like Cloud Code, Codex. And I've also been looking into different services in which you can expose these coding agents. So right now, most of us use it through our IDEs, through the like Codex app, Cloud Code desktop app as well. So I tried to, so I built this tool not for coding, but for productivity using these coding agents. So it's an app where basically, this. So currently, what happens is that let's say I want to focus on a specific task. I want to be, focused on coding for the next 30 minutes. There's a lot of apps where you can, set a timer and it will just count down and then tell you, okay, good, your session has ended, and then you take a break and then repeat. So what I actually built is something more agentic, you could say. So let's just say I want to type it. So let's say you want to focus on coding for, let's just set it to 5 minutes, and code. You go onto Codex, you go onto your IDE, but I might sometimes, check X or check YouTube, or just like kind of drift away from my actual task, right? So what happens when that happens, right? So let me go back to the app. I'll just end the session now. But what happens is that when I started the session, it actually looks at my Mac, when I change tabs or change the app that I'm using, it keeps track of all those events. And when it's generating the review, it actually pulls all those events and comes up with a review of your session on how much time you actually spent focused on your work and how many times you drifted away from your work. So it'll take a few seconds. Yeah, it might take some time. Yeah, great. So out of those, like 1 minute, that 1 minute I spent on the session, 62% of the time was on Chrome's default tab. I also checked around Zoom for a bit, and I only spent 23% on Codex to code. So it's a bit of it's a way to use AI to get a more richer insight and understanding of how you spend your time on your Mac. And I think this can be generalized to a lot of other use cases where there's a lot of kind of old technology already out there, and you can hook it onto Cloud Code or Codex and kind of give you better kind of insights on those workflows. So yeah, that's the idea, and yeah, that's my presentation.
Any questions, anyone? Okay, thank you so much, Ayush. I think next time I won't get distracted. Okay. Okay. Next up, we have John, Jonathan.
Test. Okay. Hi. So I've been working on a lot of projects over this week, but I'll just go back to the main project first, which is the one that I'm monetizing, right? So I actually tested on like a sushi restaurant. There's a bit of execution issues because there's a lot of concurrency. Basically, there's like thousands of requests happening. So this, for context, allows you to track what is your competitive share in terms of which prompts are you being recognized in the actual LLM. So for example, maybe you want to rank in like best Michelin star sushi restaurants and stuff like that. And it kind of helps you to understand like how are you comparing to other sources and what is actually citing you in that sense, so that you can understand what type of content to gear out, what type of SEO things to push later on. The only issue with this though is that the concurrency is really, really high. So it's like a third-party service that I use. And you can see that the latency is very high. So it's like 135 milliseconds. And because I'm using like Vercel serverless APIs, it has like a 5-minute timeout. So the request keeps like getting pulled and it results in like a lot of requests failing. So you can kind of see like if I were to look into to the actual queue, you can see a lot of them are like partial, some are failing, stuff like that, etc. So I basically want to go and orchestrate like a trigger.dev workflow so that it can like pull the request and help to drain it and basically make the overall system more efficient. On a more unrelated note as well, I also recently raised a bit of money for this like last week. So I raised it from a guy who works at Lightspeed as an LP, and I also raised it from another founder. So this project is pretty on track so far. And I also want to share a couple of tools that I've been building internally. So this is for my other project. We kind of added like just kind of nice animations. It's nothing much, but it just took a while to do out the canvas and stuff like that. And also, I've been working on a video game for fun. So how this works is kind of like this. Let me turn on the sound, but it's kind of like this shooting game. So you have like this type of thing where it just shoots and you have like various types of, it's a bit laggy on the actual screen, but yeah, you can kind of see like it's just a shooting game. There's a timer, and when the round kind of ends in that sense, then basically you kind of get power-ups to level up and stuff like that. I haven't really done any actual like rendering and stuff, but you can move around. You get like additional buffs and stuff like that. So this is more of like a fun project to stay away from the actual coding. And then the last thing that I've kind of been building, so this is like when the shop ends and you have like a wave kind of thing. And the last thing I've been working on is internal AI tools. So I'm a strong believer that in any company or organization, you're gonna have a lot of internal tools that you'll be using. So I built out like this internal CRM for me to remember people. And the core concept of it is called Orbit, whereby you will meet a lot of people when you're like working, friends, stuff like that. But people will drift from you over time because you kind of forget to catch up with them and stuff like that. So I built out a visualization system that kind of imagines my connections as like an orbit system, where the further away they are from the center, that means that I haven't caught up to them for a long time. So it's kind of like an AI system to help me remember like who should I catch up with. If I'm in this city, for example, who do I know in this city? So I've also added a couple of tools, and one is kind of like this, I guess, voice agent. So for example, I could go to voice output. I recently met Bob at OpenAI, and I met him at a Singapore event. Okay, I'm not sure if it'll work on this, but let me test this out. Okay, seems like it is not working or taking very, very long, so I'll skip this. But yeah, it's just a way for me to kind of imagine and visualize my connections really easily. So you can just help me dedupe data and really understand like where it's going from and just run like, I guess, kind of a nicer inbox. I really don't like Gmail, so it's just a way for me to send my own type of emails and stuff like that. And
1 minute remaining.
yeah, that's about it. The last part I've been working on is this kind of side project of mine, which I call it Contraire, and it's basically kind of like a founder community. So it's for founders that basically have kind of dropped out or skipped university in the Apex region because it's kind of less common as compared to the US. And we'll also be hosting our first event for this next month with OpenAI. So if you want to come, let me know. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Anyone has any questions? I have one question. The Trigger platform that you mentioned, what does it do exactly? The trigger.dev or something you mentioned?
Oh, it's just like a drain queue. So hang on, let me share screen. So essentially what it does, it's kind of think of it as a way to like manage a lot of requests or tasks and pulling. So like I have this various queues. So for example, let's say if you're looking at my front end, you can kind of see like there's like queue and recover still runs, and this happens automatically on a cron job as well that you can set over, where is it? It's under concurrency. Bulk actions. Where is it? Query. It should be queues maybe. Yeah, I don't remember, but there's a cron job that I have running like every 15 minutes, and essentially what this is doing is like, if for example the request is greater than 0, it will trigger the request and it will pull it separately, like parallel. So the good part about Trigger, the reason why I use Trigger is that think of it as like an orchestrator, but you don't need to do that maintenance headache. It has the auto scaling and stuff like that. So if you're running like tons of requests, which I'll show you like for my other company, and see like we have a lot of routers like VLM. So in the context of this, for example, where you're running like individual tiny modules, and for example, if you're running thousands of data points, you have a lot of polling data. So it just helps you to split the workflow and just manage the workloads easier without that maintenance headache. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much. Next up, we have Yong.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I had like maybe only 5 minutes to cook up this demo, but I think, sorry, test. Yeah, I only had about like 5 minutes to cook up this demo, so, but happy to take any questions after that. So I've been testing out a new tool called Devin. So let me maybe like start off with like what coding agents have been for the past like few years, and then like what the future of coding agents can look like. So right now we have a bunch of coding agents, right? Like Cloud Code, we have Codex, and then so on and so forth. The way like the mental model behind these tools is that when you talk to builders, is that for Cloud Code, it's great for pair programming, or it's great for ideation. Whenever you're not really sure what you want to build, Cloud Code, for instance, is really great because it talks a lot and has a lot of ideas for you to riff off of. Codex has been becoming more of a player where you're able to execute tasks for like maybe 10 to 30 minutes. And the value of these tasks is that Codex is generally just a really good engineer that knows how to build things without like nuking your code base. And the reason why these coding agents have been so great is because they're local. They run on your laptop, on your file system, and you can see the changes immediately based off of that. A new sort of local improvement sort of that has happened is like Git work trees, which means you branch off of a given branch of code base, and then you can test out like UI changes or maybe schema changes on the fly, and that has been really helpful for local. However, one thing that I've realized, maybe with like folks I'm planning to work with, is what happens when you go into production level when you need to have like certain guarantees. For instance, if your code base is big, your apps are big, and you want to make sure that like an admin and a user has certain workflows and they don't like cross each other, or if you want like to ensure like data is handled properly at enterprise scale, what you realize is that you need a clean, disposable environment in order to test these things. And so the local environment is no longer the best for these. So introducing sandboxes, the idea of sandboxes, which are basically just disposable computers. So something that I want to test out, sorry, I didn't have the time for this to test, but like one thing that I think Devin is something I want to test out on is the idea of like creating sandboxes which can basically role play at certain environments. So let's say I'm building out a tool, like an open source repo that I actually just built out recently. It essentially just like takes a dependency and checks to see if there's anything suspicious in it via behavioral analysis. What it does is that it takes a sandbox and then, it opens up the sandbox. It does some like tracking via the file system as well as over the entire setup of the install and sees if there are any network calls external to foreign servers, or if there are any create delete pairs within the file system. Because any create delete pairs basically means that you create a script, you call the script, and then you delete it to hide it. So anything can happen in that script, but you can't really track it. So basically, a clean room environment is very helpful for folks to like basically test out certain ideas that they want to do. And for Devin specifically, it extends the idea with a coding agent. So now with, let's say, a app that has like enterprise guarantees, what would be really cool is like, hey, can I make sure that like if folks are building this, that like an admin can do a certain flow and it doesn't like create any like data I wanted to, create a really good onboarding experience. Sorry, it's still building out, I realize. But it's cooking for like, I think it will just like continue working for like 30 minutes or so. But what I really wanted to do is to see like, hey, can you actually show me my current app? If someone else were to use my app, can they see like what I see? And so like, let me give you an example. In this case, what's happening is that we have a disposable computer that runs Cloud Code. It runs my plugin, and then my plugin runs and blocks this installation because it's considered malware, right? And then which verifies that like my current code base works. And then another thing that we're doing is like, oh, what happens if I like try to install a very safe package? You can see that it monitors the file system and then it allows because this package is safe. There's a lot of ideas being thrown around here, I think, but the TLDR is that like this is a good way for me to see if other people are able to use my software properly, and it's not like a my computer sort of issue. Yeah. Okay, that's all. Yeah. Any questions?
Maybe I missed the point of it, but like, isn't this just Windows Defender or McAfee with like AI? It's the same function, right?
I'm actually not sure, to be honest, because like I didn't really borrow ideas from those. I think it was
Because you are downloading stuff, your computer is checking it to see if there's malware inside. If there's malware, obviously don't download it. If it's safe, go ahead.
yeah. So actually, the code base was meant to be like it was meant to be like a tutorial for like what that looks like for people who want to build it by themselves. So it's actually structured like a tutorial also. But essentially, this is what happens, right? We just do a quick API call to check if it's a safe package. But because these API calls can be very fast, we don't actually know for sure. So like for 0 days, sometimes you need a bit more specificity. So what we do is that we spin up a sandbox in like 1 second that checks for file events, any foreign network connections, or any like processes that run even after the package has been downloaded. And if anything sus happens, then like we just kill it. Yeah. So it's like more for learning. Yeah. Not meant to be enterprise like ready.
Any questions?
Wait, so this is like a build up of your previous open source project, is it, or?
Yeah. Because I think previously what happened with this is because like whenever you don't have the tokens, the authentication tokens, it will simply just say like, oh, can you go to the website and go get those tokens? And then that was like a break in the onboarding experience, right? Because then like human would have to go there. But I realized that like for Socket and for Modal, they both have CLIs. So like I was thinking, why don't you just get the agent to just run it? So if like a person doesn't have like Socket auth tokens or like even Modal, they can just like straight up grab it. Or get Clock to just grab it. So like the entire onboarding experience would be like much more streamlined. Yeah, and I wanted like another person. I wanted to like simulate another person trying this out, which is why I used Devin.
Okay, so it's still kind of more for like developers, not really like consumer facing.
Oh no. I don't think that's the point yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least not for now.
Any questions? Okay, I have one question. So I wanted to understand, are you really just running an agent inside a sandbox? Is that the product, or just the guard is the product?
The guard is product. Yeah. So like we basically like we basically like are just checking the file events, and then currently we don't have an agent. I think we're just doing a really simple like heuristic check to see if anything pops up. Because I think that's a little bit more easier to understand.
So it's like a plugin that I can install on an agent running either on my local or a sandbox environment, which can just check if the dependency that is getting used, is it vulnerable or not?
Yeah. So like within the sandbox, like it will dry run the install, and then if anything happens, it only affects that sandbox. Then like yeah, does that answer your question?
Right. So what is the source? Like, how do you check if it is vulnerable?
How do I check if it's like
Like the package that I'm installing is vulnerable. Like, what is the source?
Oh, for now it's just these three things. It's like the file events. So like basically you can think of these three as like live processes, right? So we are checking every file event that comes through, basically like the creation of a file or something. And then we're also tracking the network connections, like whether there's any like requests to foreign servers or internal servers. And then as well as like in-memory processes. And so like if any of these things seem a bit off according to like the heuristics, then we flag it as like an issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Anyone, any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have Daryl.
Hello. Okay, so a quick continuation from the previous presentation. I am having some trouble with my Carousell chats because I am just selling. I just have a lot of chats and it's really hard to manage. So I just built a little tool for myself to help me manage those chats. So for example, let's say this thing, somebody's coming to Singapore for some concert next month. After I posted it 2 days ago, I immediately got 85 chats and I just got bombed. It was really difficult to talk to all 85 of them. And I missed some, right, which made me lose potential revenue also. So I made something that was like a bit of like a work in progress. I don't really think it works well, but you will see the idea of it, of how I want to manage my things. So I click into my chats, and let me grab the cookie to import my chats over. Hold on. Okay. So, okay. So like for example, something like this, right? If this person wants to buy something from me, I can at least put a note here. I can flag him. I can have it like color coded whatsoever, and also please don't ban me for like violating your terms of service. I really don't want to be banned. Or like this person who sent me photos and stuff, asking me whether he can trade. No way you can trade. But because no, he is of a certain type of buyer, he's not gonna buy from me. So I mark here as like I can just blacklist him. I can just mark him as a non-buyer, so I don't have to interact with him and waste time. And it's just easier to manage this way. Then all the contacts get scraped, and if I want to drag it, like let's say this person has already sent payment, boom, put there, and it's settled for this exact deal. So I know who has paid, who has not paid. Because as I am, okay, with the thing that I'm selling, right, as I am going through the motions of selling it, I'm also buying the tickets at the exact same time. So I need to know who is who, and I need to be able to label them, because the worst case scenario can be, right, ticket A, I send to buyer B instead of buyer A, which is the worst thing possible. And it will spin up an entire police case. I have to contact Ticketmaster. It's going to be very difficult. So I have to always triple check all this type of stuff. So it would be nice if I can just label it in an easier manner instead of like doing it all on WhatsApp or my own Google Sheets. And then let's say sellers approach me, right? Because maybe I have the better audience as opposed to them. They'd be like, hey, bro, I have like 50 tickets or 100 tickets. Can you help me sell? Yes, bro, I can. But I don't want to message them one by one, because when I message them one by one, my chat from all the way down here shoots to the top, and now I have no idea where I left off. And I have to have a mental note of it every single time, which is like, I don't want to do that. So ideally, this thing should have a message here. So whatever product is in stock, I can just queue it. Then it can just message them all saying, hey, I got this in stock, do you want it? And yeah, like if some people have bought it, I can just unlist them. I can just send it to those that I've selected. So different templates as well. And if I hire, they can manage it for me. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've spun up in the last few days or so. Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay. What? Sorry? In what manner?
If I underprice my camera gears. No, basically, how portable is this? Can I use it?
It's a demo at best, but I can get it to be working for you in we can talk privately. But you do get the purpose of this, right? It's like just like a CRM little thing for me, Carousell as a service, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Next up, we have Ajit.
Hey guys. All right, switching gears from e-commerce to atoms. I thought it would be good to kind of, given that this is one of the last days, leave you with like a small thought, right? I think you've seen. So for context, I work in robotics. One of the Carousell co-founders also works in robotics. We met him in SF. And I think there's been a lot of demos, right? Like robots doing backflips, and a lot of them. There's been a lot of advances, right? And there's also been like humanoid robots walking around and doing stuff. But the thing is that the reality is like stranger than fiction, and at the same in good and bad ways, right? And what I mean by that is that when it comes to complex manipulation, so when you have to, for example, hold this mic or hold a door, we still don't have a way to give robots that experience of what it feels like to hold something. Right? The only way we do that is by remote controlling a robot and getting it to feel what it feels like. And as a result, where we are in terms of getting robots to even do something as simple as pick and place is quite backward when you compare it to a human. So that's what I'm going to show you kind of today. All right, so this is a website called fail.ai, which is physical AI, but of course, the word play. And what they're doing here is kind of evaluating a very simple task of picking batteries from one tub and putting it into another, just AA batteries, right? And as well, I'll display it just to see what. So yeah, like if for a human, it's straightforward. You just pick up the batteries and place it, and you can even like sort it by color or whatever, right? So that's the task. Now, when you look at a human doing it, they can do about 1,500 units per hour is what they can do. And when you remote control a robot to do it, they can do about 300 of these. But when you get a model to do it, for example, NVIDIA or physical intelligence or any even DeepMind's models, they can do about 50 of them an hour, right? And even then, about more than 50% of the time, they fail in being able to do it, right? So I can show you like what it looks like with the robot doing it. So yeah, like it'll go in, try to like pick stuff up, but it can't really, so it's like struggling. Like a child, right? Like in it, and the thing is that it's going to take a very, very long time for us to get to the kind of complex manipulation that even a child can do. And yeah, I think that's kind of where we are in general purpose robotics, right? So the other thing that you need to think about when it comes to industrial applications is this measure. It's called mean time between failures, and as you can see, yeah, like a 4-minute failure time is very, very high for industrial applications. So beyond just getting them to do it 100% of the time, you also need to kind of get that number to tending towards like, I don't know, a few days essentially before they can time out or fail. So yeah, my point of bringing this up is that there's a lot of money flowing in, but at the same time, the opportunity space is massive. So it's an encouragement to kind of not think that even the next 10 years, if at any point in the next 10 years you decide, or next 20 years you decide you want to jump into robotics and try something, you should always try. So that's the one thought I want to leave you guys with.
Any questions, anyone? Okay, I think, thank you so much, Ajit. So with that, we can wrap up the session today. This is our last session as well today. So thank you all, the residency friends, for all the hard work and the sharing that we have done so far. Also, we'll be having a socials after this in the dry pantry area. So everybody is welcome to join and have a chat and network with the residency friends. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you around. Daryl, I'll contact you once I want some tickets. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. See you around. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, we have some socials at the dry pantry, so just move there immediately. Don't go back to your desk.